In today's episode, I traveled all the way to Johannesburg, South Africa to meet with this entrepreneur building one of Africa's biggest indigenous sneaker brand.
We started off with 100 pairs as a proof of concept, and then in a month I was back with 4,000. The rest was history. Obviously now we do tens and tens of thousands a month. So we employ about 500 people. We are on the top 100 most admired African brands, 3 consecutive years. And then we go and list rank number 1 in South Africa. We've created impact. We are a very profitable business year on year.
He grew up from the slums of Alexander, then relocated to Dubai, but after a few years, decided to move back home to build a black-owned business that would create jobs and tell the African story through sneakers.
I come from Alexander Township, underprivileged community. An accountant by profession, worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers for 5 years, 2 years in South Africa and 3 years in the Middle East. And I thought, why not just come back home and build something that can bring about the solution to the community and potentially or possibly create jobs for the people in the community. We as Africans, we consume so much of footwear, predominantly sneakers. Why don't we have a sneaker brand that represents our region?
This channel, as you know, is dedicated to promoting black excellence, and in this particular episode you will learn about the inspiration behind his shoes, how he raised the funds to build the business, and how he overcame the many challenges faced building this multi-million-dollar sneaker brand in South Africa. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, and please give this video a like so more people can see this awesome story. Mr. Theo.
Brother, how are you?
I'm alright. How's it going?
Good.
Listen, you have so much awards here for one person.
Yeah.
Tell us which of them is your favorite, first of all, to start with.
It's been a great journey coming. Obviously, all of them mean a lot to us. The one that really stands out, I think, will be this.
AABLA.
Yeah. So the APLA. So this is like what we call them Oscars of business in Africa.
Oh, really?
So
I didn't know
got
about
the Young Business Leader of the Year in 2022. But also another impactful one, if I may add, it's...
He's even struggling to find it.
It's too much. This one, which is the Job Creator of the Year that we got at the Business Partners Awards.
Why shoes? I mean, it's one thing for you to... Everybody loves cars, right? But
yeah.
does not necessarily mean you're going to go into automobile manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
So why specifically sneakers?
There's a lot of reasons why shoes, but I'll try to keep it to 3. Number 1 was I used to buy a lot of sneakers, growing up. And even when I was in Dubai, I would buy a lot of limited editions, right? So, and there's a saying that says, if you're buying too much of something, why not own it? If you're buying too much of something and spending too much money on something, why not become part of the value chain? So end of 2015, I looked at this valuable collection, limited edition of sneakers, and I realized that something was missing there. All of these brands that I loved dearly, were all international footwear brands. Nothing represented Africa as a region, nothing that resonated with me as a young African man, right? Then I went on to go into a study and do about 18 months of research and development and proof of concept. One of the findings from my research was that we've got about 7 regions in the world, 7 continents. If you look closely and you double tap, you'll realize that each and every region has at least 1 or 2 footwear brands, right, that are competing in the global community. But Africa doesn't have any. And I thought, wait a minute, right? It doesn't make sense. We as Africans, we consume so much of footwear, predominantly sneakers. Why don't we have a sneaker brand that represents our region? Then I got to that. Number 3, the unemployment, right? So when I went in, I said, you know what, I can do something and I can build a brand that can, pave the way for others, that can bring about hope, that can also create sustainable jobs. So I think the love for sneakers, the need and a gap that I identified in the market that Africa doesn't have a representation for the brand. And number 3, I wanted to create jobs.
Did you see yourself getting rich producing sneakers?
I don't know if I'm rich, but I receive,
How many sneakers would fill up this space?
Oh, a lot.
Like, you need to have sneakers to feed the whole continent of Africa.
Yeah, I think our capacity at the moment is sitting on about 800 to almost 1 million pairs. That if we had to fill up the space.
Did you really need a space this big, or it's just you being fancy?
I wish I could afford to just be fancy or do things, all in the name of fancy. But we actually need this because of our expansion plans. Number 1, we operate 35, about 36 end of the year brick and mortar stores. 37 including our omni-channel. Also remember what I told you, the group as well. There's going to be more brands that are coming in here, right, that we're going to accommodate and trade from. So that's why we had to get such a big space.
Now that makes sense. So this is feeding every outlet.
This is feeding every outlet.
All the stores you own them, like have people that want to sell your products come open.
No.
But you allow for that?
No, we don't.
Oh, yeah?
And that's intentional. It's part of our strategy.
Yeah.
Bathu is exclusively available at Bathu stores. Interesting part about Bathu is that we do our own quality control. A shoe for a shoe, a pair for a pair, by hand. All right. So if you look at all this, with these guys are doing quality control, they obviously just receive the stock. Yeah. They're checking if the shoes are all intact, they're done nicely, before we ship it out to the consumers. Once it's been QC'd, then we send it over that site, right, then it's ready for dispatch. And that is just a warehouse specifically for retail stores. Then we have a warehouse here, small one, for online stores. So all of the guys that you saw there at the team at the office, they will communicate with these guys to say, we've received this order, these are the details. They'll communicate it from here. Then these guys will pick it up, and then the couriers will come and collect it and deliver it to the client. Yeah.
Wow. And all these operations, did you learn how to do it from the onset, or how did you get the knowledge to even be able to expand it?
Good question. I mean, obviously, I did my research and worked on it. I've never worked in operations or logistics. So one of the things that I needed to do was to study a model around how retail business functions, right? So, and in so doing, then I realized that I'm actually going to need a well corporatized, a business with the right skill set in place. We've got qualified people that, have logistics and supply chain experience that work in the business. So over here, you can see we've got delivery. Obviously the guys' cars here and stuff. Got our fleet over there that delivers to stores like short distances, and we've got our trucks over there.
Everywhere in South Africa.
Yeah, everywhere in South Africa. So the trucks will come in, park there, load the stock, and out. Everything else company's assets.
Nice. And you said you have never for once got any seed funding whatsoever.
Nothing. Everything else that we've done, if anyone wants to come and question, they're most welcome to go check.
So are these all of them, or there are more on the road?
No, there's more. I think some are out.
Wow. Tell us just narrate the story, how you were able to raise funds leading up to this point.
I was an accountant by profession. I moved from South Africa to the UAE. Obviously, my salary, increased drastically, And the genius thing that I've done when I got there was that I didn't change my lifestyle, right? So, I mean,
emphasis on that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. Dubai is a crazy place.
It's a crazy place.
Yeah.
And I often say this, jokingly so, that I was in Dubai before it became an Instagram location.
Oh, yeah?
Way many years ago, before it became the amazing city it is today. So I got there and I didn't change literally everything. I drove the same car for 7 years. My lifestyle was the same. I kid you not, when I came back to South Africa at the time, you wouldn't tell that I'm from Dubai because everything else was still the same.
Still the same, yeah.
So that allowed me to save up a lot. And I had quite a big chunk of savings. And I took that, redeployed the seed capital in the business. And we actually invested in starting the business. We did about 100 pairs of
and what was that initial capital?
It was about 600,000, which
rands.
is rands, yeah.
Of your own hard-earned money that you saved.
Yeah, my family's money.
Oh, wow.
Literally, because my savings, it was, so I had to redeploy it into the business seed capital, all of it.
Whoa.
Take the risk.
You were not scared?
I was, but I mean, I think I just had this burning desire in me and believe. If I took the idea and the concept to funders or to business analysts and told them that I want to do this, findings would have said, there's no way, the market is saturated. Why would people want to buy a local brand? Because there's a lot of brands, right? But because I believed in it so much, I had to back it up with my own money. And we started off with 100 pairs as a proof of concept. We were actually declined 13 times by the factory, mainly because of our first offering was made out of mesh material, and in footwear manufacturing, mesh is used as a part of the shoe, a component of the shoe, either on top, at the back, or whatever, not an entire shoe. But I had this crazy idea that I can actually make a shoe out of mesh, and the guys kept on saying no until I flew down and they could see the desire in my eyes that, okay, let's give this young man a chance. And they gave me a shot, and the rest was history. We went on 100 pairs proof of concept. In 2 weeks, I was back with 400 pairs order. In about 3 weeks or so, I was back with 1,000 order. And then in a month, I was back with 4,000. The rest was history.
Yo.
Obviously, now we do tens and tens of thousands a month.
Tens and tens of thousands.
Yeah. So that's how I started the business. And then I think the genius thing was my corporate experience, in running the business, managing finance.
Yeah.
So one of the things that even though I was selling from the boot of my car, the business was not well corporatized. We were selling from my room, in a small room in Alexander Township. The accountant in me knew that this is not the way to run the business, and I had to corporatize the business. I had to reinvest in the right avenues of the business. As a matter of fact, we've never received any form of funding. We've got 35 brick and mortar stores. We're opening a store in Namibia in a month or so. All of that is our own working capital.
Let's say you have an investor come now and be like, we want to offer you a blank check to hand over this company to us. What number are you looking at?
It's hard to say, and I'll tell you why. Because these company evaluations are done in different metrics.
Yeah, but have you done anyone so far? No?
I haven't done an evaluation. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to say irresponsibly a figure.
Yeah.
And I haven't done valuation, but obviously are doing well in South Africa. We've created impact. We are a very profitable business year on year. So yeah, we're good.
How many sneaker brands made in South Africa are there currently?
Currently,
that you are aware of?
Can I tell you an interesting story?
Okay.
2015, I told you that I did about 18 months of research and development.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I touched on was local brands in the region, Africa. And I couldn't find South Africa specifically. I couldn't find a local sneaker brand at the time. Obviously, there's other big, great brands that came on before, but when I started, they were no longer in the market. When I started and did that research, I couldn't find one sneaker brand at the time in 2015. And then now, if you go and check, right, there's so many.
So would you say you have inspired a lot of people?
I wouldn't say so, but I think I would have.
It's been humble.
So when I started, I couldn't find any, But now, if obviously we go on and check, there's going to be so many that pop up, But I think I'm glad that I could have, Bathu as a business has somewhat been a point of light, to many others. We always try to incorporate, African heritage, culture, stories into that, and obviously do so right without compromising anything. The shoe that you're wearing now is called Kalanga, which is, a rich clan, or it's got a rich story around the Kalanga clan that comes all the way from Ghana, goes right into Zimbabwe, into Botswana, into Zambia as well, right into the northern part of South Africa, which also tells you a very common thread about the unity and the diversity in Africa. And that clan exists in all of those countries that I've mentioned. We thought, why not take that story of that clan, incorporate it into a footwear product, right, and tell this amazing clan story.
Yeah. So how do you come up with this with this design for the shoes?
So we've got a product development team that works
in-house.
That works on different types of concept. We obviously want to speak to the market. We also try to speak to the consumer as well. We look at the global trends, and we try to incorporate different types of technology and those trends into the design. We sketch the shoe, we develop it into 3D, we send it to the manufacturers. The manufacturers obviously look at the tech pack and start sourcing the materials, right, and so forth, and develop a sample. They send the sample back to us. We do the testing. If there's anything that we want to change, we communicate. If we are happy with the sample, then we proceed into order, and then they do manufacturing. They send the shoe, and the shoe arrives.
The raw materials you use for your sneakers right now.
Yeah.
Where do you source for these materials?
When we started, right, our first shoe, the mesh edition, we did everything else locally. But because of the craftsmanship and our vision and where we want to go, right, unfortunately, due to the influx of products coming from the East, the guys couldn't compete, So there's certain types of designs that they couldn't do because they didn't have the craftsmanship or the machinery or the technology. So we were forced to go also to the East, and start, manufacturing from there. So we don't actually manufacture here, but we manufacture in the East.
And when you say the East, where exactly?
We do Vietnam, we do China, we do a little bit of Europe.
So we also they manufacture for you. Where do you get the materials from? Are they sourced here in South Africa?
No, they're not sourced here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're also not sourced here because our business, the means of production sits on that side, because we are a retail business, we're not a manufacturing business. So the end-to-end cycle when it comes to means of production sits that side.
But still talking about an African product made by an African.
Yeah.
Most people will be concerned it should be made by Africans, right?
100%.
So I understand you're trying to compete with the global market. You're trying to meet international standard as well. It's understandable for you to, source for these things outside if you don't have it inside.
Yeah.
But are you thinking of anytime soon where you can bring these people in the East that know how to produce this, you bring them here so they could teach local South African people
Yeah.
how to produce these things. Whatever machinery that they are using, you buy it and bring it here. So you can also employ more people in the manufacturing side of things.
100%. So as a matter of fact, as you might know, that South Africa is actually part of the BRICS,
Yeah.
community. So we have engaged a few stakeholders in that regard. Similar approach, So as part of the skills exchange, and training programs in South Africa, that will go about teaching our people to, build shoes or to manufacture shoes. So obviously, it's still in talks. I can't talk much about it, but the idea there is to build a facility in collaboration with, the guys in China through the BRICS community, with one of the known, big funders in South Africa to set up that in South Africa. So we're in talks of doing that, and it's part of our plans, definitely.
So how many direct and indirect workforce do you have at the moment?
About 9. So we employ about 500 people, right? And I think out of that 500, 90% is direct, in the value chain.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, from the indirect, I would say it's about 10%. I don't have the stats exactly because I don't control that side of the business, right? So I'm about to check out the Bathu outlets right here at this is the Mall of Africa here in Johannesburg. Hello.
Hello, welcome to Bathu.
How are you doing?
How may I help you today?
Well, I got some questions for you, but first I want to, look around.
No problem.
All right.
Where you want to start?
Tell me about the different
This is
sections.
the Mesh Edition
What did you call them?
Limited. Mesh Edition Limited.
The Mash Edition.
Limited.
Oh yeah.
All the way up until here. And then we get Mesh Edition 3.0.
3.0.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been working for the company?
About 6 months.
And you
This
love
is my first day at the company.
Your first year. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
How many shoes? What shoes you put in? Oh, of course. I thought you were probably going to be wearing Adidas or something.
Never.
Okay.
And then over here we have our slides. This is our Moonlight slider, and this is our Ultra slider. This side we have our kitties. We have Kalanga, which comes in both kitties and adults.
Adults, yeah.
Oja X, same thing. Mesh Limited again for kitties as well. And then we have our Sky Edition and our 3.0.
So let me ask you, when people come to shop here, what kind of shoe, what kind of collection are they always looking out for?
So ever since this dropped, this is our Journey 2.0.
All of this one. This is what people would always request for.
Yes.
Male or female?
And Kalanga both.
Both male or female?
Both.
But do you feel these shoes are affordable though?
Yes, they are. Extremely.
For like an average South African?
Yes.
So the people that come here to buy these shoes, are they local people or international?
Both actually.
Do you feel if you had done this business in any other country, you would have been more profitable or less profitable? And the question there is, how is South Africa economy empowering such a business like yours?
I must say that I'm very fortunate to have started the business and I say this with utmost humility, also in South Africa. We at Bathu are utterly grateful for the support that we got, in our country and obviously in the region as a whole.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gone out of their way to buy our products, and some of them even buy our products over the popular brands. And that goes a lot, for any emerging brand.
The business officially was it registered in 2015 or it launched in 2015?
It was registered in 2015, where we did 18 months of research and development and proof of concept, and we started with the Mesh Edition, right?
So was this the first shoe you created?
Yeah, so between 2015 and 2016, I think this shoe actually dropped in 2016, but this is where the business and everything else started
from.
Yeah.
Do you feel your product is affordable to an everyday South African?
100%.
An average person can afford?
I think so.
On the lower side of the market, what are we looking at? Entry price to buy any of
Entry price, we're looking at about 800 Rand.
800 Rand, okay.
Yeah, so
and that's
about,
anywhere around $40
Yeah, $40-ish.
Yeah. 2020?
2020, we went on to here to build the Mojo X.
That's what the shoe's called, yeah?
Yeah. So it was an amazing shoe that people love so much, So we've been very fortunate in our business that all our shoes, people are really receiving them very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2022, what happened this time?
This time we
switch up gears.
That's when we switch up gears. We did this amazing shoe that has a different technology in terms of the wiring system. It's got an EOA wiring system. Right?
EOA? What is EOA wiring
So if you look
system?
at the shoelaces, you don't tie them.
Oh,
you actually twist it.
just twist
and
it.
then we call the shoe switch because of the way you just switched it up.
Interesting.
To tie it up. Yeah.
All right, 2023, and that's what I'm wearing, guys. Can you
Yeah,
see?
now you're wearing a monster of a shoe. So this is a very, very special shoe in our business. Not that others are not, but this, changed the evolution, the phase of the business. And I think from a product point of view, it's a product that was really compelling and I think answering to our proposition. And 2024, we went into Ndukwu, as I told you earlier, that we want to incorporate Africa's heritage, culture, diversity into our product. So Ndukwu is one of the oldest townships in Soweto, and it's a very iconic township that has bred a lot of talent in South Africa from Soweto. So we wanted to celebrate that township and that location. So 1043, quite an amazing story here, because when we started our business in Alexander Township, right, as I told you, we started from the ground up in a township. So the place that I stayed in, the address, right, was yard number 10, street number 10, yard number 43. And that's where the genesis of the business started. So we decided to design a shoe and launch a shoe that speaks to the genesis of the business, which is 1043. What's next for Bathu? This year we dropped an amazing offering.
This looks more feminine.
Yeah, it's more feminine. It's our first female shoe. It's 908. So in South Africa, on the 9th of August, we celebrate Women's Month. We celebrate women in the country. So it's the 9th month. It's the 9th day of the 8th month. So hence 908. So this shoe is called Bathu 908. This was our first client.
Your very first client?
Yeah.
How old were you there?
I was about 25.
25.
So,
wow.
First client, right? His name is Theo Majola, right? And he actually bought the first pair. Quite ironic. Theo works for us now, and he's the warehouse supervisor in the business.
Oh, wow. Your first customer turned
employee.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're really big on this employment thing, eh?
Absolutely. So this is some of the memories that we've had over the years, when we build in the business. So from one man, who used to sell from the boot of his car
to all of this. I hope you can see. Turn around so you can see proper. From one guy to like all of these people. How are like our fellow African people accepting this product? Because I'll tell you something about we Africans. We are pretty much westernized, and we see some products as wealth status, probably wearing a limited Adidas or Nike, kind of you want to be in that class, right? Not necessarily because it's a great sneakers or something that fits your outfit.
We as a region, as Africa, we've always been at the receiving end of everything. There is this connotation, like you said, that anything that comes from abroad, right, or the international brands are far better in quality, in style, in pricing compared to homebrewed brands. So we had to work a lot in convincing our consumers, and I think over the years, consumers have really accepted us. I mean, we are on the top 100 most admired African brands 3 consecutive years, and what they do in that study is that they conduct this through 80% of African consumers across the region. And here's this brand, that is mentioned amongst 3,500 unique brands, makes it to the top 100, right? Ranking number 65 in that list. I think we're 50 something now. And then we go and rank number 1 in South Africa, because then it goes to per country. So that goes to tell you the reception of the brand across the region, right? And we only 8 years of trade, and we're still going. So people are waking up to the fact that this is not just a shoe. And I always say that we are a shoe brand with a soul, because we care about the communities that we trade in. We care about our region. We care about the future of the continent, and we constantly communicate the impact that we create in the continent through the support of the people. So the people then warm up to that this is not just a shoe. We're not just buying a shoe. We can see what Bathu is doing in the continent, what it's doing in Africa. As a matter of fact, we're actually opening our first store in Namibia, and the plan there and the strategy is we start obviously with SADC, go to East, go to West, and so forth.
What are the challenges, difficulties, the obstacles that comes running a business like this, specifically in Africa?
We spoke about manufacturing as one of them, right? So you look at
skilled labor.
You look at how you try to corporatize a business that is self-funded, bring about the right skill set, optimize your value chain. It's a lot of work that is required to run a sustainable business. Over and above, if you look at our, I would call them global counterparts or global brands, they've been in the industry for the longest of time, and their ecosystem is far greater, much more efficient, and they leverage. I mean, sometimes you go to these facilities, they will tell you that they will have to push out your order a little bit because there's a big brand in house that is taking the entire space. And then what does that do to your bottom line? It eats your bottom line because you also have plans for your business and so forth. So competing with them, and I always say this, that businesses compete on value chains, right? So the one with a greater, a better optimized value chain always wins. It's always the case.
Have you sold outside of Africa, like South America, North America? Have you sold to those Europe?
Yeah, we sell. So we've got a very well integrated omni-channel, our online store. As a matter of fact, I mean, our online store contributes 30% of revenue to the entire business, right? Yeah. So, and when you look at the stats and the data at the back end of our omni-channel or online store, it's a lot of people that are sitting in different regions. I mean, Europe is big, very big in Europe, and very big in EMEA region. And I think it's mainly because of the African diaspora that lives there, that looks at this amazing brand, amazing story, and they want to support.
If there was one thing that you would say needs to be changed in Africa to support businesses, entrepreneurs like you, what do you say it's going to be?
It's about time that we as Africa, I mean, Africa as a region is full of heritage, culture, diversity.
And raw materials.
And minerals. Yeah. It's about time that we as Africans, embody and incorporate those into products and services, into value chains, into ecosystems that the rest of us, can export to the rest of the world, right? And I think that's where the support needs. It starts with us, as Africans, believing in our own, right? Being a genius in a sense that we don't have to look, it's not far-fetched. We don't have to look outside. We already have it in the continent. Let's build collectively and export. I mean, if you look at what the Afrobeats guys are doing, the Amapiano guys are doing, it's what exists from here and sport, and they're exporting it. So, and everyone is just receiving it. We can do the same thing in retail. We can do the same thing in mining. We can do the same thing in technology. And I think we as Africans, if we can come together like that, and say, before anything else, we support our own and we want to export it, that will be a great contributor to Africans being great across the globe. And speaking to my sector and the nature of my business, I need more support. So if you're sitting in Tanzania, if you're sitting in Ghana, if I can get
you guys should
in this week when this video goes live, one country, just one order, 10 orders or 100 orders from each and every country, that is a start. If you're sitting somewhere in Africa, whereas Tanzania, the 52 countries, and I can get 100 orders, right, from each and every country,
Africa,
right, Northern Africa, that would be dope. That will change, the trajectory of our business. So please, as Stephen puts this live, I beg you, it's a humble request.
It's also interesting. You do have an online portal.
Yeah.
What's the delivery timeline like? Let's say the farthest from here would be north.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, 7 days, and I promise you.
7 days.
You've got my work on it.
So I go to the website, press order, 7 days.
7 days. In South Africa, we deliver within 24 hours. If we are late, it's 48 hours.
Do you own the logistics side or it's outsourced?
It's outsourced.
Okay.
It's outsourced.
As you guys know, we're very passionate about sharing all of these stories, like African people building massive business. Stories like this do need to be shared. So guys, do share the story. I'm going to put the link on there. You probably go check out their sneakers if you want to. As you heard, he said, the farthest region here is north, and he's saying you can do it in 7 days. So you better keep your word. 7 days, yeah? So you can order, and probably they will give us a discount. I'll also put the discount on there. You can apply the coupon code and probably take a Stephen Ndukwu discount, when you're ordering. Thank you so much for watching, and you can watch this video next. Otherwise, I will see you in the next upload.